Hello, patrons! We are live. Let's see if people are here. Let's see if we can make this new chat system work. Alright, I see me, which is always a good start. I'm going to play you some music. And as you can see, well, no, you can't see, but it's a nice summer's day here. I've been working on the studio today. Oh, Sue! Hi, Sue! Fantastic! We have our first chatter. It works! Great stuff. Alright, if everyone can put a hi in the chat page, then we know you're with us. That'd be cool. I'm going to play you some music. I'm going to play you, in fact, my solo spot that I was doing on this tour while everybody joins us. Here we go. Just going to make it so I can see how many people are here. It says nobody's here, which is obviously not true. Hey, Margaret! Fantastic, this is great. All right. I won't turn that up a little bit. Hey, Birch! Fantastic. Hi, Diana. Just waiting for a few more people to tune in, and then I'll start some chatting. Hey, action paddling. I'm not sure who that is, but hi. Hey, Ram, cool. Hi, Bill. There's quite a few of us here, that's great. Hey, Rolf. Does anybody know if anybody is stuck sending messages futilely in the comment section of this post? It was a little bit of a worry. You are, definitely. Hi, Terry. Hey, how's it going? I'll just wait a couple of minutes more, and then we'll start chatting. But think of your questions, because I can see them all now. So I hope this was an easy I hope this was an easy way to get the chat working, but they're just coming through perfectly now. So this is perfect for me. All right, that's good news. Thanks, Margaret. Oh no, sorry to hear that, Rolf. I'm glad you made it though. Hopefully everyone else will. There you go. That was a bit of Debussy to kick us off on this second, well, first proper, I think, Patreon live streaming. Now we know how to chat, and half of the conversation is not going to be, just let me refresh, I'm not quite sure why this isn't working. Margaret just pointed out that you have to have a YouTube account or a Google account to take part in this chat. Okay. I wasn't aware of that, but thanks, Margaret. So we'll have to make sure that's the case, that people can sign up for a free YouTube or Google account. Okay, and Rolf was saying he had to follow some username login and verifications. Okay, cool. Great. Oh dear, I stopped playing. Okay, so how are we all doing? It's great to be here. I've been busy in the studio today, or busy on the studio, in the studio. Today I was doing a lot of sanding, which you saw. You saw that my two building inspectors coming round, two four-pawed furry building inspectors coming round and inspecting my work. I didn't know that Darwin would remember the space and the fact that he went up into the attic, but clearly he's much smarter than, well, animals are much smarter than we give them credit for. So there was I've got a big library ladder that goes right up into that attic space, and there was a shorter step ladder, and Darwin was straight up it, clawing to get up into the attic space. He loves it up there. So that is it's gonna be the function is for me to keep my merch up there, so like CDs and T-shirts and stuff like that. And I think its real function is going to be Darwin's den stroke bed. So you can expect, if you order anything from my website store, for it to come with some free cat hair. I'm sure that will be inevitable. Okay. Yes, Margaret's just saying, if you want to chat via YouTube, you have to have an account, and it's completely free. So it's all going well. I've scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed at my hands because they were covered in Rust-Oleum spray paint, and what I was doing is I was painting the bar for the library ladder that's gonna get hung on there. I wish I could show you, but I don't think our internet connection would be strong enough for me to go outside and show you the studio. But next week, I'm hoping by this time next week, depending on when we do our stream next week, I'll take a poll on that very soon, so we can choose from any day of the week. And I think what we'll do is we'll pick a day that's going to be ongoing. My guess is it's probably the consensus might be like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Simply, I'm just going off what people said for live in your living room when we did the concert window shows. How is my shoulder? My shoulder is still stiff, but it's a lot better. I went for a massage, and to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure if that might have aggravated it a little bit. But it's still feeling a little bit sore. It's kind of this upper arm area now, but it's certainly not what it was. It's certainly heading in the right direction. So that's good news. I mean, I think I'm going to give it another week. The masseuse lady said give it 6 weeks, which obviously is not going to happen. So I think I might give it a week and see how it's going. But obviously, it was well enough for me to play that, so it's not like it's a crippling injury. So so not too bad at all. So how are we all doing? What are we thinking of Patreon so far? I'm personally loving it, and I must say, I mean, aside from the support I'm getting in terms of the financial support, which helps pay for lots of things and also frees me up to work on my own material rather than having to take other jobs on. Aside from that, I've really felt like the support of just wanting to give you guys something great, and wanting to keep my promise on new content and keep my promise on this creative journey, keeping my side of the bargain. That's been a huge thing for me. So that's the reason I've been working on my studio so hard. I've just seen that Mike's just arrived, Mike, my friend. So I'm just in there every day, sanding away and doing whatnot. So that's, I mean, from my point of view, it's been great to have you guys as a support in a lot more ways than just than the financial support. The fact that you're here rooting for me has been a massive support. Margaret was saying, where am I off to? South America. That's right. We're going to South America. We're playing 2 shows. 2 shows? No, maybe 4 shows actually in Brazil. And I know we're doing shows in Argentina, I think, and Peru. So if you remember, the lateness of deciding when we were going to do the first streaming thing was dependent on a visit to the Peruvian embassy for some work visas. Now they've still not come through, so we're going to have to try and get them while we're in Brazil. So adds a little bit of drama to our travels, but that's what we like. What do I listen to when I'm relaxing? I listen to a lot of classical music. I listen recently. Beethoven is always a firm favourite of mine. I love Beethoven. I mean, his compositions just go above and beyond what you'd expect from anybody. And for me, he's just stands head and shoulders above all other composers. So Beethoven was at the end of the classical era. You got Haydn, then Mozart. And then Haydn for a bit longer because Mozart died while Haydn was still alive, and then you have Beethoven, and that was all in the classical era of music, and Beethoven kind of took the classical so far, the kind of the well structured compositions, the thoughtful use of themes and all of that stuff. He took it so far that his music is considered to span 2 eras of music. So it starts in the classical and kind of sets the scene for the romantic scene of the romantic era of music. And it's almost like, after that, everyone just thought, well, it's all been done by Beethoven, so let's pursue this avenue that he started. But I've been listening to a lot of Debussy as well, and that's in light of planning to do this Debussy album. If you weren't around for last week's live stream or you didn't catch it, the Debussy album, one of the ideas I've got is impressions of impressionists or impressions and that sort of thing. Going to be taking basically some impressionist composers, so that's going to be Debussy primarily, but also Ravel and maybe some Satie, and doing my versions of them, but also doing in the style of versions of, you know, those composers. That's how Beethoven started off composing, actually. He started in the style, writing pieces in the style of other composers. So until he found his own voice. So I figure that's what I do as well. Hey Kathy, great, glad you made it, fantastic. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos, Terry. That's great. Yeah, it's been really good. I mean, I found that these videos I'm making are not the sort of thing that I would put on social media either. This is completely different from social media. Because when I first found it, I mean, I don't have to tell you guys, you're already believers in Patreon. But when I first heard about Patreon, I was like, well, isn't that just like taking your stuff off Facebook and then just making people pay to see what you put on Facebook? But then I realised that actually these posts, I can make them very different. You know, they're behind the scenes, inside looks at stuff. So and it's been really fun to do that. It's been really fun to see something and thought, oh, my patrons will like that, or, you know, be doing something and videoing it and stuff. So yeah, it's been really fun for me as well. I know we do look shady, don't we? It's the long hair. I think it's what it is. Hey, Caroline, great that you found it. Fantastic. Welcome. So Rolf says, I'm now at 71 supporters. What's the plan to get the next 29? Well, right now my plan is to send all of my mailing list individual video messages saying, if you haven't already, check this out, and just give them a bit of a taste of the sort of thing that's on here. So hopefully we can get to the 100 mark by the end of this month, and then I can write my silly song for you. That'll be fantastic. Okay. Prog Chick, I think that's Shirley. Finally, one half of this is working for me. Need to get the YouTube Patreon link to work on the telly. Oh, I see. Okay, yes, right. Well, yeah, good luck with that. That's all I can say. Sorry. Kathy, I have to know, how was the after-concert get-together with Alan Parsons? He's such a lovely guy. He's such a lovely guy. I didn't tell you this, but I will tell you, seeing as we're all friends and family here. When I did that little backstage video of the orchestra of me going, oh my god, it's an orchestra. I was filming that for as long as the video lasted, maybe a bit longer, because I trimmed it down. And one of the reasons I trimmed it down is because Alan spotted me filming and kind of gestured to me, don't film. And I was like, oh shit, I just got in trouble with Alan Parsons. But then afterwards, a couple of gigs later, he came up to me just before they went on stage, and I just said to him, oh, have a good show. And he came up to me and he said, I've been meaning to say, I'm really sorry about telling you not to film. I didn't realise who you were. I thought you were somebody from the venue. So clearly, instantly forgettable face here. But he was such a sweet guy about it. He was very gentle, very humble, and he's a lovely guy. So we all went. He took us all out. Me, Carl, and Simon, and all of the crew, and Bruce, our manager, took us all out for an Italian meal after the last of our 3 shows with them. And managed to get some vegan pizza and some very nice red wine, and it was great. And we were chatting with him, sat with him, and it just very down to earth, lovely guy. Was Steve Howe impressed when he heard you? I don't know, Ron. he again was friendly. He seemed to like me in terms of a person and kind of would come over and talk to me, which I hear is not too common with Steve Howe. Sometimes he can be a little bit standoffish. So whether I took that as an indication of him liking my playing or whether he was just feeling social that day, I'm not sure. Caroline can't. Okay, cool. Caroline can't hear me because she's waiting to see George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelics. Amazing. Wow. Have an amazing show. And Caroline, your eyeballs. I'll show you where your eyeballs are. That sounds very weird to everybody else. Caroline makes these little porcelain eyeballs, and she gave me one to give to Carl and Simon, and they very kindly gave them back to me. So they are pride of place, and I'll show you where they are later, Caroline. Yes, exactly, Margaret. I'm catching up on old chat. Yeah, it's completely different to Facebook. How do I protect my hearing on stage? Very good question. And the answer is... Now, I am not at all, of course, endorsed by these people, but these little things called ear razors. And they're not custom molded. They're a very reasonable price of, I think, about $40. And you get a left one and a right one. And that's how I protect them. And the reason why I show these specific earplugs rather than just saying earplugs is I've been through all type of earplugs, and these are the best. These are the best I've ever tried. I think the only way you could get better ones would be custom molded ones, which are, I think they're around the $300 range, something like that. But I've never had them. I've never really thought that I'd splash out and go all that way. Where these are very good. These are very good. So they protect your hearing just as much as the ridiculous multi-$100 ones. The only thing that they might not do quite as well is give a very accurate representation of all frequencies, but they're good enough for me, and they're the best I've ever tried in terms of the quality of music that you hear. Everything seems to be reduced relatively flatly, because in cases of some earplugs, what you'll get is they'll bring the high end down drastically, so you can't hear things like cymbals and guitars, whereas you'll hear the bass massively, so you end up with a real big bass heavy sounding mix if you've got earplugs in. With these, it seems to bring all frequencies down equally, so you can hear everything as it's intended by the soundman or by the band, but just turned down quieter. All right, this is great. This is fantastic chatting with you guys. Okay, yes. Rolf is just naming off some more Impressionist composers. There we go. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'll have to check them out. I'll have to check out some stuff by them. Yes, I know. I'm very guilty of saying Debussy and Ravel were the Impressionist composers. Monet was the Impressionist painter, but funnily enough, apparently apparently Debussy and Ravel didn't like the labels Impressionists when people started calling them that, but hey, they got stuck with it. So, Shirley's just asking, did Steve like the tour of his guitars that his guitar tech did? I don't know if he saw it. I don't know if he ever saw it. I don't know. Bill, I've met Steve a few times. He can be either standoff or sometimes friendly. Maybe I just caught him on a good tour. Strato Les Paul. Les Strat? Paulacaster? Well, if I had to choose between the two of them, I'd go for a Strat. All of my favourite players and all of my favourite um, guitarists growing up were more towards the Strat sound. So Hendrix, I was going to say Clapton, but he started off with a Les Paul, didn't he? Yeah. Let's stick with Hendrix. And Martin Knopfler was a very big influence on me, and of course his is kind of a twangy Telecaster. This kind of he had that Pensasaur guitar, which was more like a super Strat. So I'd say Strat. Hey, Jaden Craig, glad you made it. Fantastic. You can watch the starts as a rerun. And of course, I'll be giving you all of these as audio and video downloads as well. How did I come to play the guitar type and style that I play now? If you mean the actual physical guitar, well, I was playing Paul Reed Smiths for the longest time, my PRS. And that's the one with the birds on the neck. And to be honest, I got one because I just, when I joined Carl's band, when I was a lad and I joined Carl's band, I didn't really have a decent guitar. I had an old Strat that just really wasn't suitable for what I was doing with Carl, and I had quite a cheap Ibanez, which really didn't sound good. So I just wanted a good sounding, very well playable, i.e. easier to play than like my old Strat electric guitar. So Paul Reed Smith, I tried a few out, and I happened to get chatting to the UK distributors at a guitar show in England, and they liked my playing, and they said they'd like to have me on board, so they did me an artist deal, and I used that guitar for a few years. And to be honest with you, I know a lot of people say they love the sound of that guitar. I felt like it was, I mean, it worked. I felt like it was a functional guitar. It did the job, and it did the job well. But I never fell in love with that guitar. It was never really, if you're a player of instruments or anything, it's probably the same with golf clubs or whatever. I don't know. But anybody who has a passion and has a tool to play that passion, you can fall in love with that tool, and you can fall in love with a guitar. And I never fell in love with the PRS. It was just a functional tool. I have guitar pedals that I don't really get attached to a guitar pedal, and I kind of felt the same way about that guitar and feel the same way about that guitar. So it was on everything that I recorded from the age of 24, which was when I joined Carl's band, till about 3 years ago. So it was on everything that I recorded. But yeah, as I say, it was just a functional guitar. So I got chatting. I went to another guitar show. Funny things, guitar shows. They usually end up in changing guitars. For me, anyway. I got chatting to the guys who build these. This is a Patrick Eggle guitar. And funnily enough, Patrick Eggle doesn't build these anymore. It's a guy called Gordon that bought the name off him, and he builds these now. And I got a chat to him, and he said, "Oh, we'd like to build you a guitar again after playing a few things on their stand." And I kind of dubiously said, "Okay." And then he built me this Strat type guitar because I said I wanted a single coil thing, because I already had the humbuckers with the PRS, so why get the same thing? And it was fantastic. And I played it for a few solo spots with Carl's band, but the single coils, they sounded quite thin for what we were doing with Carl's band. So it wasn't. Just as using a Strat would have sounded quite thin. We're used to a big beefy humbucking sound. So then I went back to them and I said, "Could you make me the same sort of guitar but with humbucking pickups. Humbucking pickups are the two pickups, two coils wired in series, I think, or parallel. I don't know. Is that the same thing? I don't know. But anyway, they're on together, and it's like having two pickups on together. And they made me this. It's got a really heavy mahogany body, and I play a lot. Obviously, you guys know I play a lot of piano stuff on guitar, and they joked that they'd made me a Steinway piano, which is a guitar, a piano guitar, a grand piano guitar, and it really is. It's very resonant. It's perfect for the stuff I do, and the pickups are great. It just gives a really nice character to the sound. So that's how I ended up with this guitar. All right, back to the chats. Larry Coriel. To be honest, I've not really heard much, Ron. I must say, I got into the jazz guys a little bit when I was at college because I did a degree in jazz, but I was more into the kind of the rock side of the jazz players. So Mike Stern, Al Di Meola, I guess, John McLaughlin, people like that. And so I was and I also more into the blues stuff and those guys. So never really got into a lot of jazz players. Did you sell the PRS? No, a while ago I was trying to sell a PRS. Well, I didn't really try that hard. I just put a post up saying, would anybody pay me, or what do you think it would be worth, and would anybody want to buy this off me? And the response was, don't sell it. That's all right. Well, I guess I'm not selling it then. So that was what came of that. So so that's so what's this guitar, Ron? This is the Patrick Eggle. It's called an LA Custom, I believe. They name them all after cities. There's Berlin's, there's LA's, there's New York's. This is an LA Custom. The body is mahogany, and it's got very big frets. That's always my one thing that I insist on any guitar, is they put huge frets, and by huge I mean standing tall off the fretboard. And I do that for two reasons. Big frets allow you to have the strings high enough off the actual wood so you can get underneath to bend easily and really grab hold of the string. But they're low enough, they allow the strings to be close enough to the actual fret wire to not have to press it down a real long way. I would say I've kind of got a medium low action on this because I kind of need it for the if you want to make that sort of tapping very fluid. You don't want to be tapping. You don't want to be having every time your finger comes into contact with the string. You don't want to have to be pushing it down half an inch. So that's what we talk about when we mean action. And as I say, the frets allow you to have a lower action because basically you can get the strings close to the frets, and you can still get your fingers underneath for when you need to bend the strings. What's a single coil? A single coil is what you have got on your Strat, Margaret. I don't have a single coil guitar here to show you, but it's when you just have a pickup that's just one coil. Each of these kind of rows of 6 metal dots here, each of these tube type things are coils, and literally if you took that cover off you would see a copper wire coil wound round hundreds of times to make and it's around magnetic pole pieces, and that's what picks up the sound. Well, this has got a coil there and it's got a coil there, and if you put the two coils together, it does two things. It does it makes the sound kind of fatter, but also for some reason that I'm sure is easier to explain, but I haven't got a clue, it makes it less susceptible to outside hum and interference that you might find in an old venue or on a dimmer light switch or something like that. So this is a humbucker, which is two coils together, hence the humbucker, and a single coil is just one of them. There you go. All right, Ron, good to see you. Have a good rehearsal. It's a wearable piano. It is a wearable piano, but I must say it's heavy. It is heavy. I don't know if you've picked it up, but it's probably the heaviest guitar I've played. So I mean, this is a huge chunk of mahogany. You know, it's not light. It's got a very thick neck as well. Thick necks are great, and thick guitars are great. There's a sweet spot. You don't want it too thick, otherwise you're not going to get the thing to resonate. You don't want it too thin, otherwise it'll resonate but in kind of a weedy way, and you don't really get much of the sound of the wood. You want sound of wood moving with vibrations. And the vibrations, funnily enough, the vibrations is such in this that every so often we have to tighten up these screws in the back of the guitar because the thing is, so resonant that they kind of work themselves loose a little bit. So, yes, it's very solid. Yes. Okay. So that's the main difference between a Strat and a Les Paul, really. I mean, back in the 50s, it was. There was the Les Paul and there was the Fender Strat, and those were your, or should I say, the Telecaster came first, but again, single coil pickups. So there was Fender and there was Gibson, and Fender was making the single coil instruments. Gibson was making the humbucking instruments with the two coils, and so traditionally that's kind of your all solid body electric guitars have kind of grown from those two schools of thought, and we've not really got much further. To think that the electric guitar was made in the 50s, I guess. I mean, certainly the first production models were in the 50s anyway. And the solid body electric guitar, and we came, and in the 50s we had those two shapes, and they've not really been improved upon since. It's just what we use today. Yeah, maybe that is why my shoulder is bothering me, but I have been playing this guitar for a few years now, and it's only just started bothering me on that last tour, so yeah, no idea. All right. Well, I wanted to. I'm not so sure if I told you exactly what this week's or this month's download is going to be, but because we're in May and Patreon and Patron is well and truly on its way and as underway, should I say? Where the first download is going to be a concept EP. And I'm going to send you some video. I'm going to send you a few videos. I'm going to send you some downloads, audio downloads as well. And the concept, I think I mentioned it last week. The concept is going to be when Debussy met Melier, and so you got that to look forward to. That's going to be in the next, I think, at least. Certainly 2 weeks. Anyway, you'll have it. Maybe not by this time next week, but you'll have it very soon. And the reason why I say not by this time next week is I'm going to finish it in the studio. It is going to be the first thing that I record in the studio. And if you look through, can we see this? If you look out those blinds, you'll see the studio. Oh, he shut the door. The studio underway. Okay, so you can't see anything. There we go. You just saw some blinds. There we go. Blinds are fun though, right? So you'll be getting that EP, and it will be the very first thing ever to be recorded in the Beehive studio. So, and I'm hoping next week's live stream is also going to be from the Beehive Studio. It's going to be the very first thing. That's why I'm working so hard, because I really want to get in there, and I really want to get you guys in there with me. So there we go. Yeah. Any more questions? That's the plan for this week. All right, guys. Well, yeah, there's going to be a bit of a lag, so I might not catch if there is any extra questions. But thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for tuning in. And again, thank you so much for being patrons. I really appreciate it. As I say, all of the patron things are going to be sent out ASAP. We'll be sending out postcards. I'm going to be contacting you for Skype details, so I can Skype you. I'm going to be sending video tours out and all of that fun stuff. So whatever you signed up for, you can be expecting it in the next couple of weeks. All right, guys, I'm out now to help out with the studio and do a little bit more work on it. I hope to see you soon. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Bye.